Hi guys, welcome back to Decoupled with Cheryl, your favorite podcast on winning at all things single parenting. Whether you're a single mom or single dad, or you know any single parents at all, this is the podcast to listen to. All right, so on this week's episode, we're going to be introducing a new segment that I like to call his or her story. So this is where we look at specific individuals and different people who, irrespective of how they came to be single parents, did become single parents so that we can learn from them and come out stronger. And we're also going to be looking at people who grew up in single parent households as well, all in the bid for us to learn and be better and do better as well, especially for our kids. All right, so I'm introducing to you today my special guest, the lawyer, single mom, author, and yoga instructor at Harmony Profound. Her name is S.K. Walter. I'm sure you guys can't wait to hear from her. So let's get straight into it.
Hi, Essay.
Hi.
Welcome to the Coupled with Cheryl. First off, I just want to say I'm a fan. I admire your drive, and I'm just really thrilled to have you on this episode today. So, welcome on.
Thank you so much.
All right, then. Some people have sent in their stories about how they are able to deal with being a single parent, and I understand that you have been a single parent for a while. So, tell us your story before we then get into the nitty gritties of, okay, how were you able to overcome some of the challenges of single parenting?
Okay. So when I got married, I don't think I was ready to get married. I hadn't really thought about it. I hadn't thought about, what it meant to get married to somebody and decide to live with the person for what we call the rest of your life. And I got pregnant almost as soon as I got married. So once the pregnancy started to develop, there was a lot of confusion around, what am I even doing? What am I doing in this marriage? What am I doing with this person? And now there's a baby coming, And so I ran. I ran for marriage a couple of times. And so I ran my pregnancy abroad. And I think that was the first time I started to really think about becoming a single parent, because it was clear in that moment that I didn't mean to that makes sense, get married when I got married. But I like the idea of having a child. So I started to plan a few months after the marriage and during the pregnancy. I started to plan and started to read a lot about single parenting. There's this book in particular, Single Moms Raising Boys, because I knew I was having a boy at the time, and I know there's a lot of that. And so I started to read the material and just basically learn, sort of like prepare myself, beforehand. And so eventually I ended up leaving the marriage after my second child. I had a daughter 2 years later after my boy. And so I ended up leaving. By the time I left, I was very clear. In fact, it was crazy because I had been planning right from that time I was pregnant with my first child, right? And so when I left, which was basically just after I had my daughter, I was ready. Like I was emotionally prepared, and I also had savings. I had just basically been planning for the last 2 years, right? So I was ready to be a single parent. And so the transition for me wasn't difficult.
Wow.
And one of the other things I learned was co-parenting. Because I realized it's not my
Okay.
kids' fault that I got myself into a marriage I wasn't ready for. And so I didn't want them to not have their dad in their lives. I don't think, I think that a single parent can raise a child by themselves. I'm not of that school of thought that you have to stay in a marriage with the child, or the child will be lacking in some way because one parent is missing. But personally, I felt like they didn't belong to just me. And so I wanted them to have a relationship with their dad as
Yeah.
well. And so I had to start doing a lot of emotional, deep inner work on myself, about because I had a lot of resentment and regret, and I didn't like him. And so I had to do a lot of inner work, to work on being able to at least stand him, you know. So my kids don't start growing up and then I'll start, telling them this, that about daddy. I wanted to be able to be neutral. As a yoga instructor, I believe very deeply in energy, so that even if you're not speaking words, your attitude and your energy can also speak. And so I didn't want it to be that I was pretending. I wanted it to be that I genuinely didn't have ill fate for, their father, and explain to them that is okay. And my kids actually didn't understand that they had two homes and it was okay. They didn't go to
Oh,
school, so they didn't understand the idea of a mother and father living together. It didn't feel strange for them. They are homeschooled, so it didn't feel strange for them,
to them.
like they were missing out on
Mhm.
something or something was different from what they were experiencing. They just knew that their dad was staying somewhere and their mom was staying somewhere else. And whenever we go out and we hang out. And so it's not they're fighting or anything like that. And I think that for me, I
Yeah.
prepared myself for all of that before the time came. So when the time came, I was ready. And most times I try to get into single parent circles. But one thing I realized is that a lot of people they hadn't done their inner work, and so there was a lot of pain,
Hmm.
about the partner, and the children not even
Yeah.
knowing much about their partners. And I didn't want that, so I just sort of kept to myself. I didn't do any single parenting group.
Hmm.
If when I saw your podcast title, in my mind I was like, oh my god. Yeah. But when I listened, I was like, oh, okay, I think this is someone that has a good head and a shoulder, someone who understands, not somebody who hasn't, dealt with, because a lot of things are going to come up being with somebody and then deciding to leave the person, especially when there are
Hmm.
kids involved. A lot of things are going to come up for you.
Mhm.
And so the smart thing to do is to deal with those things, number one, for yourself, and number two, for the kids. So yeah, that's basically my story in a
Okay.
nutshell.
Well, that's amazing because in just this couple of minutes, you touched on a number of things that we're looking to
Okay.
stress on, which is the essence of this podcast. You talked about um, raising your children. You talked about emotional
Right.
intelligence as it regards relating with your ex, and then of course there was a sense of finding balance in there. I believe I heard something of that when you talked about the energy and just making sure that you're putting out like
Right.
positive
Right.
vibes. I don't know if that's the word to use. So you touched on like a couple of things, and I think that's absolutely amazing. But I want to take you back to the first few things you said when you talked about how you
Yeah.
prepared yourself to be a
Yeah.
single parent. Please, how exactly did you go about doing that? Because it takes a certain level of you have to have removed yourself to a certain extent from what
Yeah.
you were going through as a person with your ex to be able to now say, okay, this is who I'm preparing to be. So
Yeah.
let me go and read up on it and books and did you do that
Okay.
exactly?
I'm besides being a single parent, the experience of preparing for being a single parent, I'm a very thorough person. I basically like to prepare
Hmm.
myself. My background is law. Even though once I was done with my master's in law, I decided I didn't
Hmm.
want to do law, which was crazy. My parents were really upset, but I still love that I had that background, because what it did for me was it taught me how to research. It taught me how to argue. So if I want to have an argument with somebody, I'm not just preparing myself for my point, I'm preparing myself for your point as well. So I need to know what I'm arguing for, and I need to know, the opposite of what I'm arguing for. So I sort of prepare myself all round. That's how we're trained in school. And so
Hmm.
even though I didn't follow the law path, it became a part of me. Where my friends don't like to argue with me because it's a waste of time. I'm going to start the argument off with your points. I'm going to attack myself, and then I'm going to redeem myself. And so you're looking like, okay. So before, when I started to realize that, okay, I wasn't sure, because I really, really didn't want to be married when I got married. I had a lot going on in my life at the time, and I felt like marriage was a good escape.
Hmm.
Big mistake, but I felt like it was a good escape. So that was the main
Ah.
reason why I got married when I got married. And so once the process of the marriage started to unfold, I realized I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for that level of, number one, commitment, and then having to, put up with another person. Just live with somebody else. Even when I was growing up, I sort of shook my parents and my siblings out sometimes. I'm always in my room. I'm that person who's a little bit deep, and I don't want to have a lot of conversation. So I didn't know how to handle people. And I thought it was going to be different when I got married, but it was the
Hmm.
same thing. I didn't want this man around. I didn't want to see him every day. I didn't want us to just be together all the time. And then I had my own personal insecurities, around, oh, who's he talking to? Who's that
Hmm.
person? Why is he coming in late? who is calling him. And I wasn't ready to do all of that. Before then, if I'm in a relationship where I start to have all these issues, I just pack up my bags and I run. But I couldn't run because it was a marriage and they said, we have to stay together forever.
Mm.
But then again, I was like, you know what? People separate all the time, people divorce all the time. And then we also know that when we hear single parenting has a bad rep in general. And so I have to deconstruct, why does it have a bad rep? Why? What does that even mean? And if I leave, I was very sure I was leaving. How am I going to handle, this bad rep? I was already the child who was the black sheep, who was always going left. And so I'm like, okay, fine. They're going to say, oh, it's normal for essay. But how do I handle it? Especially because I was pregnant, right? I was crying a lot when I was pregnant. I was very hormonal.
Yeah.
So I knew that there was something about a child coming that was going to change a lot of things. So how do I handle, that? How do I start to? And the first thing I did, which is what I do every time when I'm trying to research, was Google how to become a single parent was the first question I asked. And so, I knew I was having a boy.
Wow.
And so I was seeing a lot about, a woman raising a boy. I'm like, okay, how to raise a boy child, a single mom. And there's an actual book called Single Mothers Raising Boys. So I read that and I could think about, okay, people go back to their partners because they can't financially cater to the child and etc. And I didn't want that to be my story. So I opened an account for my son and I said to put money away. I said to save, just basically in case I didn't have any support at all, I'm able to not go back because I'm desperate. So those are the things I did to prepare myself, But by the time I left, my family, they were very supportive. So I moved in, with my mom. And, of course, for months, she kept going on and on and on about go back to your husband, until she wore herself thin and said, okay, you know what's fine. How do we move forward? So I just sort of, and then at some point I got tired of living in the car really. So I moved out. I drove a cab. I became a cab driver because I love driving, and then that was easy money. So I said to do that. I got a nanny. I got my own place. And in that period, that's when I found yoga. I started practicing yoga, and I realized I'm actually somebody who can stay without a partner. There's some people like that. Not everybody doesn't feel the need to be with somebody, and I always felt like there was something wrong with that. I guess that was why I was fighting it. But the period I lived alone, I actually like the fact that it's lights out when I say it's lights out. I don't have to take my kids to school. Nobody's forcing me to do anything. I could just go at my own pace and I could just be. And so I just sort of enjoyed it so much, and it just became my lifestyle.
Interesting. Okay, I hear you, and it sort of makes me think that in a way, as much as you were married for a time being, you then decided that, see, I want to be a single parent. So you went into it by choice. So you were able to prepare yourself. There are people who actually do that. There are people who have no relationship at all. Like the relationship is not the foundation for which they bear a child. They actually go and maybe do like a legal single parent adoption and all of that. So I can understand how you were able to prepare yourself to that extent because it's something that you wanted to do and you went ahead and you did it. Now let's talk emotional intelligence, because you mentioned that you were co-parenting. So even though you decided, okay, I don't want to do this as a single family unit, if I could call it that, and you decided, okay, I want to raise my kids by myself. You were still able to maintain that level of relationship with your ex, that you guys became co-parents. So I want to hear exactly how that went. Like, not just for you, because I mean, you were already steeled in your mind and you said this is what I wanted to do. But how did that interplay with your ex, and how were you guys able to find that balance and have that emotional intelligence where you guys weren't going at each other even while you were co-parenting?
While we live in the same house, I was the crazy one, right? So the crazy one in the sense that he doesn't shout. It was something I found very annoying. So if we're having an argument, for instance, I'm all over the place and I'm screaming, and he's just looking at me. And once there's a moment of silence, he's like, "Why are you shouting?" Oh my goodness, that used to drive me crazy. I'm like, "What the hell? What kind of person? Like, what level of control? You're like a psychopath. How do you have this level of control?" And we're actually having an argument. And so I don't know if it was pride or whatever it was, but he had this thing of, not wanting to allow you take over his emotions, right? So when we first separated, he was always cool. Like he would come around and he would buy stuff for the kids and he would take them out. Sometimes he would want to come. I'm like, no. Yeah. And they'll go out. And I'll just be sitting there and I'll be thinking in my mind, like, what the hell? Like, what kind of human being is that? And I'll be getting upset over the fact that he's not getting upset. And so later on, I thought, you know what? I'm going to build myself to that point where I don't get upset. It looks like a very cool place to be. It looks like a cool thing to have. And so, questions. One of the things I learned, I don't even remember where I learned it from, was asking yourself questions about why am I feeling this thing? So in yoga now, we call it watching the thinker, right? So somebody might walk into a room, maybe a lady who I think is prettier than me, and a voice just goes off in my head, bitch. What I'll do is ask myself, why is she bitch? Sorry, baby, my son just told me language. So what I'll do is ask myself, why did I think that? Where did that come from? Right? And so the more I do that inner work, the more I do that inner searching, I start to realize that it has nothing to do with that person. So it has everything to do with me. It has everything to do with, just not the person at all, because I don't even know the person, right? And so by the time you ask questions about, okay, so why? What is that? Okay, she's prettier than me. I feel like she's smarter than me. I feel like she's just grabbed the attention of everybody in the room and I'm jealous. Okay, why am I jealous? Because I'm insecure. So by the time you ask those questions to the end, there's nothing left, right? So you just say that it's all mind activity. So I said to a relationship. So he comes around, for instance, he's taking the kids out. And I'm thinking in my mind, like, so why are you upset? Why are you upset? Okay, you're upset because he's looking nice. And he's like, he's actually enjoying his life. He's supposed to be miserable. You left him for crying out loud. And then the other thing is, was that a woman's perfume I smelled? Oh my goodness, are you jealous? How can you be jealous of somebody you left? And this is ridiculous. So you start having this kind of conversations with yourself. Of course, you start to feel you're crazy initially. But later on, you start to deal with everything because it's just you and you. There's not whatever comes up, right? And then if you ask the question to the very end, you'll find there's nothing there. There's no reason why you're having those feelings. They are all conditioned mind activity. The mind is already conditioned for maybe movies or experiences we've had in the past. And so these things just keep coming up. So it was like I say, using the relationship to work on myself, right? So every time I said, ask, and then one day he came around and he said, do you want to come? I'm like, yes, of course. And I dressed up and I bought some makeup. And we all went out and we had a good time. We took pictures and it was fun. And I was just thinking in my head, like, wow, okay, that's not supposed to be fun. Like, you love this guy, you're not supposed to be having fun with him. You're supposed to be upset. And again, questioning. So why are you supposed to be upset? Because that's the programmed response. No, you're not supposed to be upset. You don't even know what you're supposed to be. You're going to see what you're supposed to be as time passes. And so I stopped being upset. So when it comes around, if I feel like going out, of course I go out with them. If I don't feel like going out, I don't go out. I don't start going crazy about, how good he looks or if he feels. Because the day he came to the house and came with a girl, oh my God. I'm looking at the girl like, oh yeah.
He did not.
I just came out from the room and this lady was sitting in my
room. Wow.
Like, and he came with another friend, a guy and a girl. But I'm looking at the girl and I'm thinking in my mind like, this looks like he's specking. How dare he? He wouldn't dare. And then of course I'm having all those stuff going on in my mind. And next thing she says, oh, this is his friend's daughter. I'm like, oh my God, thank God. So when they leave, I start asking myself, what the hell is going on? I say, like, what's happening with you? Do you understand? Do you like this guy? And if you do, why did he in the first place? So now I'm in a place of, never in my life can I ever tell this guy that I like him again. God forbid. After leaving, my pride as a woman. So I think that going from that place of resentment to now finding him attractive, and then, literally, he's coming. I know he's coming. I want to look good. This is somebody I was with for years. So what the hell? Like, why am I trying to this person? What is that? So I moved from the resentment to finding him interesting, to wondering if we could get back. And so I think that was what happened for me. So my emotions sort of just shifted from resentment to indifference to interest, And so that was where we were.
Right. But I have a question for you there. You mentioned the role that your ex played in, he wasn't spiteful. He sort of just let you do your thing, and then he would come in with his gentle, calm
Yeah.
voice and annoy the heck out of you with his of peace and all of that. But this question I'm asking to you, especially as a yoga instructor, and the fact that
Right.
you stress so much on emotional intelligence and all of that. If your partner or your ex wasn't of that disposition, if he came at you bitter and angry and resentful and just not caring anything about how you feel or how you were reacting,
No,
would you have had the same
absolutely not.
um,
I was the
reaction
crazy
towards
one.
him?
Like the kids would have been crazy by now because I
Mhm.
wouldn't even let him see them. You know, I'm the kind of person that if I want to be, I can be
Mm,
very manipulative. I can be very vindictive. I understand when I came into yoga and everybody was like, oh, peace and light and love and light. I'm like, yes, I have that, but I also have bitch mood. I'm that person. you know, yeah, that balance where I can be this person, but I can also be that person.
mm,
So if he had come at me with resentment and all of that, which is where I was at the time, if he had matched my energy at the time, we would have had a problem,
mhm.
serious problem. That's for sure. I probably would have just taken them and gone abroad or something. I would have kept him away from them completely. So yeah,
Okay, so we can say that the extent of your emotional intelligence was in direct
absolutely, yeah.
proportion to his own emotional intelligence. If it wasn't that way, you
Oh
guys
yes,
would
definitely.
probably
I would have
have
killed him.
killed each other by now
Definitely.
or something.
Yes.
But there are lessons there, and I like the fact that you came to that point where you were able to recognize um, how calm and sort of, even though
Yeah.
he probably hated you, but he didn't show it and all of that, you were able to recognize it and then use that as sort of like a
Yeah.
way to propel yourself into the right frame of mind, and that's amazing. We're probably going to talk on people who were at it constantly, but I mean, kudos to you and your ex, because at the end of the day, the whole purpose of having this podcast and having these
Yeah.
conversations is because of the children. So we know that there are people who can stand together, but what do we do to make sure that the children don't get to see any of that? And that's why I think you guys did
Thank
absolutely
you.
great. So well done for that. Now let's talk about single parenting circles. You said you tried to join one or two. So tell us what your experience is with that and why you decided to pull out. Because the whole point of this is having a community. If your experience with a community is not helpful, please let's hear why it wasn't.
Well, the thing with communities is not all of them are helpful, and a lot have to do with the person who starts the community. Again, back to energy. So if I started single
Hmm,
parenting and community because I'm angry and I'm bitter, that is going to be the theme of the community. You see, it's
hmm,
energetically, that's what I'm going to project. And so I'm going to attract this kind of people, into the
hmm,
community. The first one I joined, I think it was on Facebook, or was it WhatsApp? I can't remember. Facebook or WhatsApp, I don't remember now. I was talking to, like it wasn't all peaches and cream. There were times where I was very resentful toward him and very upset,
hmm,
even though he didn't like match that energy back for me. There were people I would talk to and tell like this dude is terrible. I couldn't tell lies about him. I couldn't lie that okay he beat me or he did this or he did
hmm,
that. He didn't do any of those things, right? But he just, I think it was the calm that upset me,
hmm,
right? It was the indifference. And if we argue about something, I can be upset for like 2 days. And once the argument is over, he's moved on. He's doing something on his phone. He's doing something on Instagram. He's going on radio, and he's laughing and having a good time. And I'm thinking like, what the hell? So I became very resentful. So I was talking to this lady who I had met on
hmm,
Facebook. She was a single parent as well. I think she'd been a single parent for a few years. And I was just going off and on about, how I'm good. I think I just left, or I was trying to leave. I can't remember. How I'm going to deal with him. I'm going to da 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 da. And the lady said, yes, these men think they're so smart. And they think that. You know how when you want something, you find what you want, right? So
yeah.
she was really hyping me. And then she said she's going to invite me to this group. Ha! good and I joined the group, oh my God. First of all, it's just single moms in the group.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm gonna do is single community, a single parenting community. I like balance. So I want single dads and I want single moms as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so there's just single moms in the group. And every single one of them were obsessed. It was like a group of planning how to kill the children's father so they no longer exist. You know, and so I mean it was okay for the first day, you know, when I didn't introduce myself, of course, because I'm always very careful because I mean blogs find my story interesting sometimes, and so I didn't want anybody there to munch and then send to a blog. So I didn't introduce myself as I was told, but I just stayed in the group for like 3 days. I think I was there for about 3 days. And the first day I was very happy, you know, oh my goodness, look at my tribe, you know, like, yes. They were going on and on and on. And then the next day, a lady posted a picture of how her ex came to the house and she locked him outside and she wanted. And then I'm like, okay, no. You know? And people share their own stories about how they dealt with them. One said that, you know, the man has not seen the kids for like 3 years now. I'm like, okay. You know, so by the third day, I just told the lady who invited me privately and I said to her, I don't think I want to do this group thing yet. Like, I don't think I'm ripe for, you know, a single mothering community thing. I just want to figure it out by myself because I get influenced easily. And that's why I pull out of a lot of things. Because when I read things, they stay with me. And so I've read a lot of things that would unconsciously inform my own decision in my own situation. You know? And so I left. And the second group I joined, this one I was very open up front because I had left at the time, I think, and I was living alone. And so I asked a question about why can't we be happy? As somebody said, what do I mean? That she's noticed that I like sounding like what was the word to use? Like the Messiah or something like that. And I said, no. I said I thought a lot of the women had not moved on. And you can't be raising kids if you've not moved on because you're damaging your kids. I took a course when I was pregnant with my son. Neuroscience for parents. That was the first time I learned about the brain. And so that's why I was very careful about putting my kids are still not in school. My son will start school because he's 5 now. The next time school's open because he has a strong personality. You heard him telling me language just now. You know, so I feel like he's ready to mix, right? So she was talking and I said to her, a lot of us need to learn the psychology of kids. We need to learn the damage. And somebody asked, what about us? Like the moment you had a child, it was no longer about you. So it became an argument, right? And then, of course, people who had been quiet about how they don't like how they're going about my because she called it Messiah complex. Aha! My Messiah complex. And I said, well, the emotional intelligence in the room was 0. I was going to leave. And so I exited from the group. And one lady told me privately, and what she said to me broke my heart. First of all, this lady was still married, but she had lied to the entire group that she was a single mom, and she was now lying things that her husband hadn't done to her. And so she opened up to me and she said to me that the reason why she was doing that was because, number one, she didn't have friends and she wanted to feel accepted, and that sometimes she can't even recognize the person that she has become because she looks at her husband in the house who is being all sweet. And she can't imagine all of the things she has said about this same man on a group of angry humans who you might never see. You see, and I said to her, you need to exit the group. You know, and she was like, I was the only reason why she stayed in the group because she couldn't leave. Of course, you know how you get in a group and you don't want to leave because I think it was washed her hair. You're leaving will announce that you left. So she felt like she was stuck in the group, you know. But then when I came and I was saying different things, and she liked it and she's like, oh wow, okay, I like this person. So that day when that argument started and I left, she came to my inbox and I said, first things first, you have to exit the group because at your age, you're in your 30s, this is peer pressure. You have to lie about your experiences to be accepted. That's a deep issue. It's not about those women. It's not about your husband. It's about you. And I think you have 3 kids. You have 3 kids who are under you. They're in danger already. And she's like, oh, she would like someone to be helping. I'm like, no, I can't help anybody. I'm still trying to figure my own self out. And the reason why I'm keeping myself away from this kind of community is because I don't want to not get the right information, you know. And so that was the last time. I think it was just those 2 times. That was the last time I did anything single parenting group or anything like that. Because I just felt like a lot of people were getting it wrong. And I really didn't feel in a position to, like what you're doing now, which is very commendable. I didn't feel in a position to
Mhm.
start a community,
Thank
right?
you.
But I just felt like I need to get it right for myself. I want my kids to grow up,
Mm.
and tomorrow they say they want to get married. Getting married because they want to get married. And they say, oh, I don't want to get married, I want to be a single parent. They have a healthy view of what single parenting is. So it's a choice that they can make without feeling
Mhm.
like they have to do it for anything. And so that's why and I think in general, I'm a lone wolf. So I just basically became, my own person. And just did my own thing, went with the flow, what felt right for me.
Right. Thank you so much, Essay. I mean, there's been so much that I have gotten just by having this conversation with you. A couple of things that I took from this conversation today. First of all, there are people who can
Yeah.
choose to go into it, either from a similar circumstance as yours, or just from the beginning,
Right.
that's their plan. I want to be a single parent. I can do it and win at it. And how do they do that? Is by making sure that
Right.
they prepare themselves mentally, they prepare themselves by reading,
Right.
and financially as well. I got that financial part so important. And then you also talked about, emotional intelligence, even though it was born from the fact that your ex was coming at you from that angle. So I think that's also great to learn from, because some people, no matter how nice the ex is, they just can't stand the
Yeah.
person, and then it rubs off on the kid. So that's great. And then lastly, and even more importantly, is knowing the kinds of influences that you allow around you when you are going through that phase. Thank you so much, Essie, for talking to us today. All right. I'm just going to put this out there because I'm not really into yoga, but I've learned that there are aspects of yoga that are super beneficial to people, especially when it comes to just that having that balance in their minds and peace and energy and love and light, as you said. So I'm just going to say to all the listeners out there, you guys should go and check out Harmony Bhavan. That's Essay's yoga company. She's a yoga instructor there. And we probably would learn more from that.
Right.
Just by getting on board with that. Thank you again so much, Essay. Thank you. It's been I need to speak to your kids as well, because they've been in every way a part of this interview. Oh my goodness. They've been a part of this interview, so please, my love to them as well. Thank you so much.
And there you have it, guys. You can follow Estee Walter at Harmony Bhavan. That's Harmony spelled as it should be, then Bhavan. Until our next episode, thank you so much again for listening. Remember, you can send us your stories and follow us on all platforms at Decoupled with Cheryl. Bye then.